So, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Tremors 6, and Alien Covenant are not the only horror series that have a new film coming out this year. Well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre might not have any film coming out this year because apparently film companies have shamed of that one. I really don't know why. I'm still very curious on seeing it. Please release the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Please. Okay, but those aren't the only series that are being worked on right now. There's also a new Puppet Master movie coming out, which I'm very curious about. So if I do a thoughts on like I did with Texas Chainsaw and the new Tremors film. So here's my thoughts on the new Puppet Master movie that is currently in the works. Now, the very first Puppet Master film was actually the very first horror movie I ever saw, period. It's what got me into the genre. It's what got me interested in it. I was very small. It left a big impression of it. It was the start of all horror for me. So as a result, the Puppet Master films will always have a very special place in my heart, and I will always be very interested on what's happening in that series. All right? Now, for those of you that don't know, the Puppet Master films have always tended to be very low budget and pretty much cult films that aren't really that well known to most of society. But the Puppet Master films have actually fallen into the hands of a much bigger budgeted, more capable film company that is actually going to put some money down to make a new Puppet Master film. And they, of course, have announced what they have in mind for the next film. So before I go over my thoughts on that, I want to state my thoughts on the original series because I think that will make it very clear why I feel about the new film the way that I do, okay? So most people that are aware of the Puppet Master films would tend to see them as camp movies. So bad that they're good. Like in number 5, you can see the strings on the puppets that are supposed to be alive. In the later films, the actors are so horrible, they're practically cardboard cutouts. In one of the installments, it's a clip show of prior films in the series. I am not even kidding. It is literally a clip show of prior films in the series. And despite the fact that puppets are supposed to be alive, in the last 2 films, they barely move. Like in the second last one, I was 99% sure that the entire puppets being alive was in the main character's head because you never saw them move. I thought that would be the twist at the end, that the puppets were imaginary all along. I was wrong, but that's how little they moved in the movie. So most people would say that they're camp movies, and most people would say they enjoy them because they're so bad that they're enjoyable. But I significantly disagree with this mindset. If you only watch number 1 and number 2 and then just stop there, you'll see that the original films were supposed to be serious, straight horror films. They are done really well. They're really smart, and they have a lot of thought put into them. They are not played for laughs. All of it's played 100% straight, and it is made very, very well. The films only became bad later on because the film company behind them had no budget whatsoever to make them and kept pumping them out because they were literally the film company's only source of revenue. Full Moon, the company that was making them, was next to broke, and they would do anything to stay afloat. And Puppet Master happened to be popular, so they kept pumping them out as much as they could with less and less budget and rushing them more and more, and boy did that show over time, causing them to completely fall apart at the seams. But if you just watch the first 2 movies, you'll see that they are very well made. They were meant to be straight horror films, and they were meant to be scary and serious. The first movie specifically is really creepy at times and very intelligent. And that's the way I think they work best. The first 2 are, without question, the best films in the series, and they play it straight. They have no comedy or camp elements, and they're not supposed to be bad as it can possibly be to be silly. They're not supposed to be that. They're supposed to be serious and straight. So now, and that's how I think they should be done, because those 2 were the best. So now, let's go over the plot for the new suggested film by the big budget people who are putting a lot of money down on this and think they can make a really good movie. With the plot of the new film, this guy that was divorced recently goes through his old junk to decide what he's going to get, what his left spouse is going to get. While he's searching through junk, he finds this collectibles item of Blade, one of the puppets from the original Puppet Master movies. And apparently in the universe of this movie, the puppets from Puppet Master are seen as almost like a movie item. Like you can buy and sell them, and they're a very famous item. I assume that there are movies in this universe of the Puppet Master movies. That was a bit of a tongue twister. But what I mean is, when he finds this puppet, he thinks he can sell it as a collectible, and he goes down to a Comic-Con style convention, which is made of the puppets from Puppet Master. It's a Puppet Master convention where people go to sell and buy puppets from the original films. So, i.e. the movies are movies in this universe, at least I think, and he goes to a Comic-Con style convention to try and sell this puppet to make a lot of money because he thinks it's collectible. While he's there, his puppet and all the other puppets at the convention, for some odd reason, some unknown reason, all come alive and start to kill people randomly. And that's the plot of the movie. So, this plot would make an awesome movie, like really awesome, if it was a Child's Play movie. If somebody found a collectible, like Chucky doll and went to a convention for Child's Play and the Child's Play dolls all came alive. Awesome Child's Play movie. It would make an awesome Scream movie. If somebody found a collectible butcher knife based on the Stab movies and they went to a Stab convention and a slaughter broke out. Awesome movie. It really feels like a plot line to poke jokes at horror movies, be very meta, be very self-aware, to mock horror, to be a self-parody, to be the next Cabin in the Woods, to mock the genre, to have a lot of fun, to wink at the audience, to break the fourth wall, to be a Deadpool style flick, to have fun, joke around, and be a camp movie. Be so bad it's good. It very much feels that the writers came up with a super campy meta plot because they felt the original Puppet Master movies were camp movies. And if this was a Child's Play movie, I'd be all for it. This was a Scream movie, I'd be all for it. But the original Puppet Master movies weren't really that campy, and this plot feels out of place. It doesn't feel like a Puppet Master movie. It feels like Child's Play or Scream. It doesn't feel like the original series, or the original first two movies, I guess I should say. It feels like something else entirely. So it feels very out of place, and as such, the plot concept has kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I'm not as excited as I normally would be. That being said, I'm going to see this movie no matter what, because I am excited to see the puppets done with a finally proper budget. Okay, the puppets in the Puppet Master movie, they can't speak, they can't communicate, so the only time you ever get a sense of what they're like or their personalities is when they move and when they're like living beings. But because the Puppet Master films had so little budget, after number 3, they don't even move anymore. And you no longer get a sense of what they are or who they are. I would love to see a movie where you get see the puppets move again and actually interact with people and actually be living beings. It'd be so cool to see those characters once again fleshed out. You need a good hunk of change to be able to pull that off. So it's so cool that they're going to finally have the budget to try and pull that off. So even though I'm a bit rubbed the wrong way by the plot synopsis, I will want to see this movie no matter what. I really want to see Blade move around again and be a living entity. And I really want to see the rest of the characters move around again and be a living entity. The best scene in the whole Puppet Master franchise is when Blade's on top of the bed. Blade's one of the main puppets in the series, if you haven't seen the films. He's on a bed attacking someone, and then he jumps off the bed and runs right at the camera, and it is just, it's a number 2, and it is the most awesome, iconic scene, like, almost ever. It is so cool to just see him jump off the bed and run right at you. It's so freaking cool. And I want to see that kind of movement again, okay? In the first 2 films, you get a really good sense of the puppets. I want to see that again. But I will give this advice to the filmmakers. Number 1, bring back the original score, because the original score is amazing. It's one of the best elements of the first film. I love the original score, and it's one of the main reasons to see the movies. So please bring that back. And number 2, please do the puppets in stop motion and not CGI. Stop motion looks wonderfully surreal and off, and it just gives this nice kind of off surreal look. Whereas CGI just looks like CGI. So please, highly consider doing them in stop motion. Just please do them in stop motion. That's how they should be done. That's how the movement was done in number 1 and number 2. Whenever they did move, they used stop motion, and it looked great. Please use stop motion, okay? And number 3, make them chaotic neutral, because they've always kind of been in the gray area. They're never really super villains. They're only ever bad because they have a bad master in charge. I'd like it to stay true to that. That's all my advice, though, and maybe reconsider the plot. But no matter what, I will still see it. I'm still very curious about it. Now, if you all are curious, my favorite puppet, or I should say puppets in the Puppet Master movies, because it's a toss-up. Sometimes I'm a really big fan of Blade, and he's my favorite. But on other days, my favorite puppet is Torch. And with Blade, it's the same reason everybody loves Blade. He's just the most developed one. He also seems to be a bit of an underdog. In the first one, he has to move a chair in order to spy on someone. And he has the hardest time moving the chair. You see him put his hook on it, and he's just trying to drag it across the floor. And he's having such a freaking hard time doing it. You feel really sorry for him. And he feels like such an underdog. Like, this guy came and moved a chair, and he's expected to help kill all these people. How is he going to pull it off? He's completely in over his head. You get a sense that he probably won't succeed. And it's really an oddball scene because it emphasizes the fact that they're not real villains. If they were real villains, they'd be emphasized and made to seem stronger, but he can't even move a chair. So it's a really defining moment for the character. And I love the fact that he's a bit of an underdog and he's kind of suave and all that. As for Torch, she's just a cool character that woefully was very underused and is only really prominent in the second film. And I wish she was more prominent in the series because he is a cool character. So those are my 2 favorite characters. Third would be Tunneler. I just like the look and design of Tunneler. He's cool. But yeah, that's the next Puppet Master movie. I'm pretty interested to see the puppets done with a proper budget. I wish they came up with a different plot line, but hey, what you're gonna do? Maybe if it's a big enough success, I will eventually get my serious Puppet Master movie with a big budget. Maybe that will happen. Probably not, but you can always dream. Anyways, what do you think of the new Puppet Master movie? Are you going to check it out? Are you excited? What do you think they're going to do with it? I really hope they don't redesign the puppets. I like the way they look just fine. Leave them be. Leave them be. But what are your thoughts? Let me know. And have a great day. And cheers.